10 layouts that I created for 2019. I will link any of the process videos down below, and I'll give you a quick run through of what I have chosen. Now, these were chosen by me based on the actual layout. I just really loved it, or based on sentimental purposes because of the photo, or maybe because I super enjoyed a challenge or something along those lines. And I've put them into calendar order, because I generally scrapbook in calendar order myself, so it's approximately means that it's the order that these were actually created throughout the year. So this is my title page for my album. I fill 3 albums worth, but I only do 1 title page. Oh, sorry about that. And just continue the album as if it's not in a new book, if that makes sense. So this was inspired by Paige Evans, how she breaks her layout into a quarter. She uses a different stencil in the background of each one. She then color washes each one, and then she matches her ephemera to that color. So sort of like a little mini chromatic layout for each page. And you can see I included my family with, myself in the W, Jack in the A, Matthew and Tom in the R, and again Matthew and Tom in the E. So I really, really loved this layout. This one I chose just because it just makes me happy to look at it. I guess because it's about my family and about us, but I really just love the bright colors, and I just really like it. Layout number 2. I actually created this layout while in hospital at sleep school with Thomas, so I don't have a process video for this. It is using a free Paper Issues cut file, I do believe, and using the Kaisercraft Blessings collection, which was a Kitaholics kit for me. So that's got some beautiful tulle. Again, I think I just chose this one because it's really striking. It really catches my eye when flicking through my album. And I really enjoyed the process of making this. I think as well, being at hospital by myself, just me and Thomas for a full week, I kind of had, more time on my hands than I'd ever really had before. I was finally getting a little bit of sleep and probably felt a bit more relaxed. I wasn't cooking or cleaning or looking after anyone else except just me and Thomas. So I think even just the joy I got out of creating was quite a lot higher in this particular layout than what it can be in some of my other layouts. And this was from January, the 4th of January. That's not when I went to sleep school though. That is the date of these photos, just in case you were wondering. February, these photos were taken. So these were back when little baby Lincoln was finally allowed out of hospital and was ready to go home. And it's pretty much the very first time Jack has ever seen him. So obviously these were chosen a little bit from sentimental value. I just adore this photo of Jack just so being in awe and such in love with his little cousin Lincoln. This was also part of Janet over at RTS Scrapbooking. She runs a 4for4 series where you use 4 different papers to create 4 different layouts. That's not exactly how it goes. She gives you the cuts you need to make for the different size pieces of paper, and then using those different size pieces of paper, you can then create your layouts. And on layout 1, you have 1 photo, layout 2, 2 photos, layout 3, 3 photos, and layout 4, 4 photos, and so on and so forth. This was my take. I think this was layout number 4, so the 4th photo going in there. I just really enjoyed that series. It had me scrapbooking in a completely different way that I usually would, and using some techniques that I wouldn't usually use, and it was just a lot of fun. So one of the reasons I included that. Okay, this layout is from March. This was part of our September, when we scrap every day of September, and I'm fairly certain the prompt was shapes. Or shaper, and I had to choose a specific shape and then create a layout from that. And so obviously I chose hexagons. Again, I I'm really drawn to color. Katie and I scrap so differently in the brightness and the color of my layouts. We were looking at the new collections coming out and I was like, oh, I love that. And you know, it might have been one of the Pebbles ones that's just super bright. And Katie's like, oh no, I much prefer, you know, the Maggie Holmes, which is a lot more, even though this is Maggie Holmes here, a lot softer coloring and things like that. So it's really quite amusing. So I was drawn to the really bright mustard showing through in the back of this layout. And I just love the other aspects. Like this is the first time I'd used my fuse tool and made some shaker pockets, and then with the fringing on here, it's just a lot of fun and I really enjoy this layout. And the amount of photos I got on, 5 photos on a layout is quite a lot for me, so I really quite liked that. If you're playing along at home, the photos were printed at 3x4 size and then cut down into the hexagon from that. Oh, sorry. As you can tell by my background, I'm in a completely different location at the moment. I'm actually leaning against an upside down kitchen chair, balancing my phone on the edge of the kitchen chair. So every time I move, the whole entire phone moves. So I'm trying to stand as still as a statue, but it's really difficult. Okay, so this was another challenge from Janet over at RTS. She challenged us to make an entire layout where all the pattern paper, obviously apart from your backing cardstock, was only using a 6x6 paper pad. So of course I had my ephemera, but everything else is 6x6 paper pads. So these 3 background colors were a cut down 6x6 paper pad, just joined together underneath. This border is actually strips. I don't know if you can even see the join. There's one there and there's one over here. Strips of a 6x6 paper pad that I just joined all together to create a border. A lot of the ephemera, this little puppy, this guy, this little fox, even this ruler in the background here, were all cut apart from the these 3 from the 6x6 paper pad cut apart sheet. I cut those out to include as ephemera. So I really tried to embrace the whole using of my 6x6 paper pad. And then of course I just truly love this collection. This collection is so fun, and yeah, I just really like this layout. I'm not really telling you much, am I? So this one, I created this when I got selected my first round into Confessions of a Paper Addict design team. So that was back in April, and I was just super proud of that. And this was one of the first card files that I used, and I didn't use it as a card file. I used it as a stitch file, and just the chain stitch, the white on the white, it's just so striking. And then those beautiful Cocoa Vanilla Studio florals from the Happiness collection against the black and white photo. It was just, yeah, it just all speaks to me. So I just really loved this. Special thanks goes out to my mum, who actually did some of the stitching because she was at home visiting me and she was bored. So she asked if she could help do something, and I'm like, sure. So full disclosure, I did stitch a bit, but she also stitched a bit too. And yeah, I just really love this. I love the stitched files, and I just love putting the little real stitched border around the edge, and yeah, just really, again, oh sorry, speaks to me. Oh, I love this layout. This one still just is probably one of my absolute favorite layouts of all time so far. Oh, I'm sorry, I think. So again, this is from April. This is again using one of the Confessions of a Paper Addict cut files. I actually requested this cut file. I requested a bookworm, especially after seeing my little love, Thomas, enjoying reading so much. I wanted to remember that. And then this is the Bohemian Dreams collection, again from Cocoa Vanilla Studios. And it's just gorgeous. I just love the colors. I love the florals again. And I think the background paper, which is out of an Aldi paper pad, I do believe, just again really speaks to me. I just love this. I don't know what to tell you. It's just a super cute layout and I love it. Aha, this one. Again, I really like this one. This was a real challenge for me. So this is actually part of a challenge prompt. The prompt was to use your oldest piece of paper from your stash. And I do believe that the striped paper and the stars were from 2006 or maybe 2003. I know that's quite a difference, but either way, still very old. And I pulled them out of my stash with the challenge of these were literally the oldest dated papers I could find. This was back when there wasn't branding strips, but the back of the paper was white. It's like that really thin paper, and it's white. And on the back, in sort of a light gray color, was the company name and the year it was released. And I'd sort of challenged myself that this was the very oldest date in all of my stash that I could find. So I was determined to use it somehow. And I had no idea. And I just sat with this paper on my desk staring at me for days and days and days. And then one day I was laying in bed with Jack reading him a story. And this idea just popped into my head about sort of dulling down the stripes a little bit, putting the stars on top, fussy cutting everything like I fussy cut. I actually didn't fussy cut these little circles out. I just got a hole punch and punched them out. So that they were designed to be that way, circles. They were going to take forever to cut them by hand. So yeah, I just got a normal hole punch. And once I had this idea in my head, I just had to get it going, and I was so stoked with how it turned out. So definitely ran with that. And I even put dimensional magic on top of the little dots. That's why they're a little bit shiny, just to give that sort of almost like an enamel dot finish to them. And the rest of the collection is it's a mixture. So these two bits are from the crepe paper, but this one is and this guy here and this guy over here too is Cocoa Vanilla Studios. So bit of a mixture of different things from my stash. Now this layout here is again using Cocoa Vanilla Studios cut file. It's actually using two different the same cut file twice, one at about 12 by 12 size, and then one, so you can see this big flowers here, and then one shrunk down to about 8 by 8, I think. And I was inspired by the gorgeous Danny, who is also a Cocoa Vanilla Studios design team member. She's had this amazing background effect where I found out later she used, I don't know, something like glass beads or something it was called. Now I don't own that. So I used dimensional magic to make like these big white clear poppy lumps. I used stickles to make like little sparkly dots. It doesn't quite look the same as the glass beads that Danny used, but I was trying my best to replicate that. So I really loved that. And then the actual backing of the cut file was vellum with little silver spots. And I got watercolor paints and I painted the vellum and left it to dry, and then I ironed it to get it to go flat again, and did the tone on tone backing of the flowers. And I was just amazed at how well the vellum painted with the watercolor, and then I just loved the look of it as well. I just loved the softness that the vellum gave to the layout. Then last one. Oh, that was from May. So was the blue stripes, by the way. This is from August. This is, again, using Cocoa Vanilla Studios. Bit of a mixture, though, as I look at it, because the butterflies are more than words, I think. But I think a lot of the papers are happiness, so hard to tell. I think I've mixed in a few different Cocoa Vanilla Studios in here. So I designed this cut file by design, I mean I went to a royalty-free website and got a picture of a tricycle, and then I incorporated some florals from the Confessions of a Paper Addict. These florals here on top are from Confessions of a Paper Addict cut file. Her Pick a Posy, I think, was the cut file, perhaps. Just to sort of lift the page a little bit. I then watercolored the background and put a stencil on as well, but it was so full on that with the tricycle it was getting a bit lost, so I ended up putting tracing paper down on top. And this is when I first discovered my little tracing paper hack. Vellum is super expensive here in Australia. It's like $1 a sheet, maybe $2 a sheet. Anyway, more than I wanted to pay. But tracing paper was at least half that price. So I bought a pad of, I actually bought A4 size tracing paper. So there's a seam across here that you can't see because I strategically placed it all the way across and then laid my ephemera out as well. Just to see if it would work. I'm like, okay, it's about $7, a cup of coffee and a biscuit. I can manage that. And it works perfectly. It looks so good. So I use vellum if I have it, but if I don't have any, tracing paper is my new best friend. But it's obviously a lot thinner than vellum, but yeah, it totally works. You can see here I stamped on it as well and it doesn't rub off, so I'm super happy with that. Oh, sorry, I keep moving. So those were my 10 choices. So I have can't file. Oh, I'm so sorry about the awful shakiness. Please, I hope you've been able to manage it. How many do I have? Oh yeah, here's one more. So I had 5 cut files, with 4 of them being wholly Confessions of the Paper Addict and the 5th one being a bit of half and half. So obviously you can see where a lot of my cut files are coming from these days. There is a 2 challenges inspired or taken from Janet at RTS Scrapbooking. This one here that is from one of our Scrap Every Day of September layouts. This one here that was a challenge. No, can't remember where from. Sorry, it'll come to me later. And then my opening page. So, all 10, and I'll pull you up just a little bit. All 10 of my favorite layouts as featured in my album. I hope you have enjoyed. I will, as I said, put process videos down below. I'm fairly sure I've got a process video for everything except Soak Up the Sun. Pretty sure all the other 9 have got process videos. So if you want to check any of those out, the link is down below. Otherwise, thank you so much. Make sure you check out our Instagram. If you have anything you want to talk to us about, the email and the Instagram link is down below. Subscribe, comment, like, do all those usual things. And I'll see you later. Sorry, forgot my words. I will see you later. Thank you so much for all of your support over 2019. Let's roll on into 2020. Bye, everyone.